Unrelated frustration aside, once I fling the door open, a whole chunk of the stone that has been stuck in the pit of my stomach simultaneously unseats itself. There in the hallway stands Zach, his hand raised, ready for another knock. Although he's not at his most presentable at the moment, he ruffled and drenched with sweat as he is, relief quickly washes over me like a tide. He's still panting when he pushes me aside and heads in. Second his feet cross the threshold, he scans the place, eyeing what little can be seen of the room from the doorway. When he finds none of whatever he's looking for, shut up. He turns to me with a questioning look, one that has a hint of panic in it.
You said it was urgent. Did anything happen? Is it Becca? Bella?
Everyone's fine. Well, Becca's not here. She went somewhere this morning and hasn't answered any of my calls yet. But Isabella's...
I'm here, Zach. Morning.
His voice shifts at the same time the stiff line in his shoulders eases. Once Isabella walks up to us and welcomes him with a smile. He relaxes then, returns her greeting in kind, as soon as he has let out the breath he's been holding at the tension finally on his body.
So, nothing's wrong? Why'd you call me here for then?
My explanation can wait. He has a lot of explaining to do. The fact that he went to Enslam alone for some godforsaken reason warrants a proper one. Ghost or not, he's already been given a warning. It frustrates me to no end that this might be the plan he mentioned the last time we spoke. I get that he's worried about Hannah Wright. Somehow they've become friends, but that's not the issue here. Not when there's a murderous ghost who might go after one of us at any given time. Sure, Zach made it here in one piece. By some dumb luck, he's all right. And this takes one of the list of people I need to worry about. Frankly, as annoyed as I am, I can't just stay angry at him when I look at the situation that way. Hell, if that call didn't connect in the exact minute, there might have been a chance of he won't be standing here. This is a blessing in itself. Though the first thing to discuss, some things still need to be... Okay. Except when I open my mouth, the only thing that spills from me is my own relief. Despite myself, despite the rational part of my brain screaming everything wrong about Zach's neat little plan, we had so many close calls within a single night. Zach showing up at Isabella's doorstep alive, whole, and unharmed. I might as well take comfort in that while I still can.
You're okay.
You did tell me not to do anything stupid.
Suddenly the whole room feels too heavy and all I'm able to do is drop down on the couch. A headache also threatens to burst in the same moment, or perhaps this is what release from anxiety feels like. Regardless, I reach up a hand to pinch the bridge of my nose. I almost said the nose of my bridge. Even if it'll likely do nothing to alleviate the penny pain. Rub the back of your head, the suboccipital.
We have this stupid curse thing going on, and you were right there! You just walked up inside a private property! Those people can easily sue you for breaking and entering, and that's the least of it.
I know, Ash. But I can't just leave things as they are. I've got to do something.
God damn it, Zach, I was worried.
Unexpectedly, he laughs, not the half-hearted sort he makes when he's awkward or come up with an excuse, a genuine one. Before my annoyance grows again and I snap at him, though, he suddenly catches me in a headlock. His arms looping around my neck while he grinds his knuckle against my skull. Helpless, I squirm under his grip and protest, even then it's hard to do so when you're up against a six-footer.
Aw, he's worried. Why didn't you say so? That cool act ain't gonna fool me anymore.
Let go.
He relents soon enough, though only after he's done ample damage to my hair. I hate it when he does that. But for a few moments there, the tense mood finally lightens, and everything felt like how it used to be before this whole mess began. Makes appreciating little moments like this easier
Zach,
still.
Why are you even there?
Told you already. I was looking for you.
Why would I even go there?
Well, you mentioned a plan with Isabella here. I assume that's where you guys went, since that's where she found the letter. Sorry. I was really at a dead end.
The logic that sends me into silence, to say the least. Then I remember his hesitance, the tone he had taken for agreeing to go there, and all at once my anger from what he's done wanes. Partly this is my fault for keeping things vague. I can't berate him for assuming that when I've only left him with vague answers.
You could have called me.
I did.
I didn't receive any, and my phone was with me.
You're kidding, right? I was at it the whole night.
The whole atmosphere in the room changes in 2 heartbeats. Back again to the tension-riddled one plaguing us. Zachary stares at me like I've grown a head. Then gradually he shifts his attention to Isabella. The expression in his eyes, questioning, asks for confirmation, like my word can't be trusted, not that I'm holding it against him. I can't even believe the things coming out of my mouth these past few hours. Meanwhile, Isabella stays quiet, has been looking like that for quite some time. She looks like she wants to disappear right now. Guilt, frustration, anger, fear, all of the flashes fleetingly across her face before it melts away under an expression of worry.
Please tell me he's joking. You were there?
No, we really didn't get any. Everything was quiet last night. But Zach, at BRC? Ashton and I saw.
She never gets to finish that. Rubbing my phone rings again, blaring its badly sang ringtone throughout the whole room. Both of them pauses, waiting when I pull it out to check caller ID. It's Becca. Yay.
I'll tell her to get here as soon as she can. Excuse me.
Without another word, I slip out of the room and answer the call, however. However, the tone she assumes isn't the one I'm hoping to hear.
Are you there?
Ragged, a bit out of breath, there's a tinge of urgency in it. Listening to her from my side of the line makes it seem like she's just run a marathon prior to this call.
I got your message. What happened?
Nothing. Yet. Where are you?
Downtown. I had to make a quick visit to the library. Listen, Ash, about that thing Isabella has been talking about. There's something you guys need to...
Please tell me you didn't... Whatever. Save it for later. I'm at Salemwell. If you can get here as soon as possible, that'd be really great. This is... related to that.
You're there? Is Isabella with you?
Yeah, Zach too.
With a quick press of the button, I switch on loudspeaker and step back into Isabella's apartment. Hold out the phone towards the two, giving it 2 shakes, urging them to speak. Both are still carrying worried looks on their faces. This should ease that.
Asking for you too.
Becca? Is she okay? Hey, Becca.
Hello, Rebecca. Odd morning we having, eh?
Hey, you two. What's happening over there? Is this something I should be worried about?
We'll tell you once you get here. Please, hurry.
I don't like the sound of that, Ash. But I'm on my way. Give me a few minutes. I'm driving.
She mumbles a goodbye, then hangs up. Becca's the last person I need to account for, yet that call left an even more strained tension in the room. Thankfully, we don't have to linger on it for long. She only takes a matter of minutes to get here, and the second she steps into the room, Isabella clings to her.
I'm so glad you're okay. Ashton checked on you this morning, but...
He did? I'm sorry. I was in a hurry. I didn't have time to drop by and let you know.
It doesn't matter. What's important is you're here.
Not burnt to a crisp or brutally murdered somewhere. Almost. Oh, well, whole, alive. Although she seems a bit shaken, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. At least now I can relax, ease the pressure off my shoulders, if only by some. But the minute Isabella pulls away from her, she winces, a small reaction. The younger woman doesn't even catch it. It sets a precedence for a careful observation, nevertheless. A closer look at her reveals a much more disheveled than usual. Hair in a bit of a mess, probably flattened in a hurry. The back of her dress also shows stains of dirt in places it rarely gets to. She's also leaning more on using her left arm. She's right-handed. Perhaps the most telling is the slight limp she has, noticeably once Isabella leads her into the room. It all spouts a hat full of questions. What exactly happened, and how did she ended up in that state? Pretty sure a simple trip to the library won't do that. I grab her for her arm before she can walk past, carefully to avoid hurting her in case there really is an injury. Seems like at first glance, but you can't be sure until after a careful examination has been made. I suspect some bruising at least. Although minor internal fractures aren't out of the equation. They have a nasty way of staying hidden. Sure enough, Becca tenses immediately upon contact. Tries to pull back, although the sudden gesture only elicits another wince, forcing her and Isabella to halt. Both of them turn to me almost the same, or their eyes searching for mine for answers. Rebecca, for her part, doesn't appear quite pleased with the interruption, or the fact someone has brought it to light. Let's be nice.
You okay? You're limping.
As expected, she tries to hide it. This time, when she squirms from my grasp, it's with enough force she almost stumbles, but if Zach hadn't caught her by the elbow. Even with 2 more people shooting her concerned look, she swifts to shrug it off.
It's fine. I just had a little accident.
Little accident, hard to believe when her other arm's nursing the supposedly fine arm. Isabella doesn't buy any of it either.
Library?
Well, yeah. It kinda caught me off guard.
Something's happened there, hasn't it?
I don't have to elaborate on the question further. Shortly, she goes very still, and a hand placed over her right arm shifts ever so slightly, its grip and the limb tightening. Not too firm to hurt, but just enough for a gesture of comfort for her. Warily, she casts a glance at everyone in the room, but only the one she spares for Isabella lingers longer, and in that moment something unspoken passes between them. An understanding. It strikes me a second later how utterly familiar her expression is. It's the same one I've seen far too many times in Isabella. Since that day in the movie house, every time her attempts to warn us have been so rudely dismissed.
Can we? We have to check if it's bad.
Rebecca hesitates for a moment. Then after a minute of consideration, she sighs and reaches for the hem of her sleeve, raises it just enough for Isabella to take a good look at it. Not swollen, but a large portion of her skin starting to turn an ugly shade of purple.
That is gonna be one hell of a nasty bruise.
Tell me about it. It was a library cart that hit me. You know, the old metal ones they keep near the history section.
Ouch! Like I said, nasty.
But she's there? She went after you.
Yeah, I was in the archives, looking something up. Suddenly, she was just there. Well, she was using my own students against me. What kind of terrible, terrible person does that? Oh, it makes my blood boil.
You should have just ran. That woman's not something you can hit with a book.
Laugh it up, Ashton, I did. Then the bloody cart came out of nowhere. And you know what? If it weren't for a damn book, I would be dead by now.
Silence descends on the room as the gravity of that one word hits all of us. Dead. Another close call another would have. Another one we've narrowly avoided. How long can we keep this up? We're bound to break at one point. No normal human being with a sane mind can last like this. It's a miracle Isabella hasn't cracked yet. After all, she was the one who found the letter. I expected her to have caved in by now, yet her voice, calm and composed in the face of this, is what cuts
I'll
through
go
the
get
thick
a
air.
cold compress for that arm. You guys take a seat first. Ashton and I, we have a lot of things to talk about.
That marks the end of it, at least for the time being. And as soon as Isabella returns and hands Rebecca the cold compress she promised, we go straight down to business. Surprisingly easy, considering the rigid air in the room. Although there's some tense fumbling for words at first, the whole conversation gains steam once what happened last night at BRC has been put on the table. All at once, everything we've brushed off, carelessly ignored, and rudely dismissed have been laid out for close scrutiny. Zach's encounter with the woman and in his dreams, Rebecca's close brushes with death every time she appears, the dread, the fear, the terror she brings out even in the bravest of us. Everything. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there must still be a way out of this. There has to be. Logic be damned. Or at least that's what Isabella and I would like to believe. Yet, even as the cold morning light shifts to a warm hue of late afternoon and eventually night, none of this still makes a fucking damn sense. Darkness has fallen, but we're still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at loss than we've ever been before we even started this. The next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head and the sheets of paper I've been holding smacks the table harder than I've intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in their small room and everyone simply falls silent. Along with it, it has released another long-held breath.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
Don't just drop it. There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet.
It's an odd thing to hear from her, the very words I've been telling myself every single time I find myself facing a dead end. We can use a little bit of the optimism right now, I
know,
guess.
but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked it out last night, right?
All of them? I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper.
Not so dumb if it can kill all of us.
Very funny, Z-Man. Anyway, like I said, you discovered that paper right before the open house. No one else was allowed inside during that time. It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and Jean-Marie.
But if things were going to include them in the count, should have there been more than enough people to end this fucking curse already? How does this thing even work?
Yeah, okay. They went in and out of this place. But no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is...
Maybe there's more than one of it. Even my friend, the priest from the cathedral. He's been acting strangely. There might be more than one of that paper going around that we don't know about. More to this. I mean, look at all this stuff Rebecca brought with her. Apparently our teachers have been lying to us all these years. So who knows?
Hey, now don't blame us. Blame the bloody books they wrote.
Quietly, Isabella reaches for one of the papers Rebecca has brought with her and carefully inspects the words printed on the page. A copy of an old newsprint from even before the city has been founded. Her eyes narrow with each line it passes, but lingers on an illustration of a noblewoman's
Why
sword.
do they have to keep this in the restricted section?
Rebecca merely shrugs at her inquiry, but her own annoyance seeps through her
How
answer.
should I know? I wasn't even aware we have archives that go as far back as this. This is before the city was even founded. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for Andrew's help, I wouldn't have gotten my hands on any of it. Maybe they didn't think it would be important to talk about it. After all, this is more Anselm's than ours.
That or some old bugger's hiding something.
Why else would these tell a completely different story? Revising what's written seems a useless endeavor on its own when you have nothing to gain from it. Thanks to those, we're also missing a lot of things here. All we have to go with is the mansion, the letter, and all the selfish people have been keeping from the public. But what else? Somehow, even with all this information in hand, it still feels like there's something we're overlooking. At present, everything seems to point to where this all started. The Emergard Mansion. Will bringing the letter back there fix everything? Fuck. How do I? The mansion's a private property now. Can't just waltz in there. I'd rather die before I even think of begging Wright to let me in and investigate the place. One thing's very clear after those last 2 days, however. We're not safe anywhere, and I have to act fast if I want to keep my own friends alive. We can't keep running away. Sooner or later, she'll get us. Before that happens, I have to put an end to this. Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back after several hours of sitting. We've been at this for far too long. A break is needed. Time to let everything sink in, or else we'll all burn out. I know I will, and it's another thing I cannot let happen when they're all counting on me like this. Albeit unspoken, it's in their eyes as they look up at me.
We've been at this since morning. We should take a break for a few...
The rest of it never makes it out of my mouth as something heavy and grated sounds from a far end of the room. A harsh booming noise rendering through the eardrums of everyone in the room. All at once, the three of them are on their feet while I quickly palm for my gun on my table. However, before I can pull it up, remove the safety, and the whole racket stops. Stillness descends the room. Amidst the sudden hush, the four of us exchange anxious glances. So much for a break.
That might be...
Gather everything.
No questions asked. They waste no time getting to work piling up the documents we've been reading through. Even Isabella is unusually silent as she gathers everything in her arms, her own movement sharp and precise, a deep furrow in her brow. There is fear, but something's hard and urgent overshadows it. But the moment doesn't last. Before we can even finish, another noise ups the tension already gripping the place. Suddenly the lights go out and the wardrobe at the end of the room rattles, as if something inside the begs for freedom. Cautiously, eyes glued to it, I take a step forward and release the lock from my gun. I'm no trigger-happy person. I'm not even sure if this will work on a ghost, but right now it's a smooth surface against my palm with the trigger on my finger provides the closest thing I have to relief as I approach the closet.
What are you doing?
I don't think that's a good idea. We should just...
Worried as they are, they immediately stop at the slight raise in my hand. At the edges is there while they all huddle in a space between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whatever I find inside, they have enough time and space to run from their position. In 2 deep breaths, I've crossed the room and stood in front of the closet. Whatever's inside has yet to stop thrashing. Instead, it has now moved to banging at the door, louder and louder and longer I dally. Another shallow breath. A glance at my companions. A nod. Something creaks. Then, in the next moment, I'm grasping at the handle of the swinging doors wide open to reveal... nothing. Right away, I part the clothing hanging on it, and still none. No ghost. No woman. Not a single trace of whoever's inside. Confused, I glance back towards my companions, only to see them mirroring the same expression on my face. The noise has finally stopped, but I'm quite sure it isn't my imagination. Or maybe it is, and I'm just too strung up and that my head's now making things up. Whatever the case is, we need to get out of here as soon as possible. This only confirms that we aren't safe anywhere. Without bothering to close it, I move back, ready to leave, adrenaline now coursing through every vein of my body. In the next second, I'm barking orders and...
Everyone, we need to...
I'm sent sprawling on my back as something cold catches my ankles and yanks. The resulting fall knocks the wind out of me. Pain racks my whole spine, and the back of my head collides against the floor with force enough to dislodge my own brain from my skull. A moment lasts before stars fade from my vision, and then I sense it. Cold tendrils twisting around my ankles, the smell of vile rot assaulting my nose, nauseating, sickening. A foul smell draining every feeling in my body. The moment her horrid laughter, still as unpleasant and vicious as the last time I've heard it, reaches my ears, my eyes snap open. Perhaps it's just inexperience. Or maybe my mind still is attempting to comprehend this. Regardless, the minute my eyes land on her, my whole body freezes. The gun in my hand turns useless as my grip on it slackens. It's in the manner her gaze bores on me. I'll say, the look of utter hatred and malice I've seen it loads of times. From suspects, mostly murderers, who never regretted their actions despite being caught. This is the face of someone you can no longer reason with. And I know the moment she laughs again and starts dragging me towards her, it's already going to be the...
Snap out of it!
No. I can't die here. Not yet. The haze fades from my mind, instincts kick in, and
Everyone
then
out! Get out! Get out here!
With one powerful tug, I yank my foot out of her grip and scramble back to my feet, ignoring the piercing wail she fills the room with. Within the span of seconds, I'm gunning for the door, grabbing the wrist of the first person in my hand can reach and leading everyone out. Into the hallway, down the flight of steps, and right inside my car. I waste no time flooring on the gas pedal the second the last person closes the door behind them, and in a short while, I'm driving out of Salemwell. I don't even entertain the thought of winding down just yet, even as the last of the woman's painful cries fade into the night.